What's up everybody? Welcome back to the Good View Woodworks channel. My name is Nathan, and in this video, I'm gonna review a product that can really up your sales in your small business pretty quickly. The first time I posted something from using this machine, I made over 500 bucks. If you wanna do that, check this out. We're going to be going over the Aufero Laser 2, and this thing is super cool. It has a lot of cool features you can buy with it. Some of those being this rotary engraver. It like spins a cylinder. You could do cans, you can do tumblers, things like that, which I think is pretty cool. This particular model came with the short focus laser, the SF, and that's because I wanted to do more engraving. Not necessarily cutting at the moment. I think this is pretty cool too. You can load pictures in here, and the laser will engrave a picture, which I think is pretty dope. I didn't have a chance to mess with that yet. We did engrave a few things. It says installation only takes 10 minutes. However, it took me a little bit longer than that. But there are a few tricks of the trade, I guess. It took me a little bit of learning. It was a little bit of a learning curve, but still, I would say entry level for sure. So we're going to be using Lightburn. I have a Mac, and so Lightburn was the only thing that worked. Now, they do a free trial, like a 30-day free trial, so it still works out pretty good, but it is a paid app. And this is just a brief overview of all the tools and things like that when you're searching for it on the page here. Here you can see the options for the laser, and like I said, I have the LU24SF, and that stands for short focus. That's just for engraving. If you wanted the LF for long focus, that would be for more like cutting, and then you can also upgrade to a more powerful laser there with the 10 amp laser. Okay, so let's get to unboxing this thing. I guess what I'm going to do here is just going to unbox it. I'm going to pull out all the parts so you can see what it comes with and what it looks like in the box, and we'll go from there. This is technically the user guide. There's not a whole lot of information here, just what parts you should have in there, but there's no instructions in this. You have to go online to get the instructions on how to put it together, and I will show you what I mean later on in the video. So I'll just set that aside and we'll continue taking all the pieces out. Got some goggles here. That's because lasers are dangerous for your eyes and you want to keep those protected. Here's just a bag of samples. Here's the actual laser itself. Here's a cable. I think that's the USB cable. Here's installation cables for the laser. And then the rest that's in the box are just the rails. The bands are already there and installed, so it's just the 4 rails that are left here in the box, and that's it. Okay, I wanted to give you a quick rundown. So the 4 pieces are bolted in. Now, this manual doesn't tell you anything about assembly. These aren't the assembly instructions. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to their website and you can scroll down, which I'll show you in a minute. You can scroll down and find the assembly instructions, which they're okay. They're good enough to work with, but one thing when you're screwing in these side pieces, you have these two rails come together, which you saw at the very beginning. And this rail has nothing on it. This rail has all the electrical components right here on this side. Well, because it's it's like a quarter circle extrusion, aluminum extrusion, you can actually mount, not this side, but if you were to start with this side like I did, you could accidentally mount it like this, which puts the screw holes on the top. You don't want to do that. You want to get where the screw holes are on the end like this. So they get mounted, they get screwed in here. The only problem I found so far with this was that the hole for this screw right here was slightly drilled this way, and it was hard to get this screw in straight. So what I recommend is put all the screws in loosely and don't tighten them all the way down till they're all in, and then you can tighten them all down. But that one right there was really tight all the way because the hole was slightly this way. Other than that, it's pretty sturdy, pretty rigid. They give you a couple of Allen wrenches and they work. They're not as tight, they're a little sloppy, but they still work. I just wanted to show you that before I went any further with the assembly, just because the instructions are a little vague when you see them online, which I'll show you. It doesn't really tell you that, and I'll just keep on going with the process. Okay, so I got it all hooked up. In the instructions online, it shows you how to hook this up, it has there's a ground that gets screwed in here underneath the screw, but it also gives you zip ties that are supplied in here, and it also tells you exactly how to mount the zip ties so the cable and everything doesn't get in the way. As you can see here, and then you got 2 under there that tie in. One thing I thought that was super weird though was you have to unscrew one of these screws out of the housing here and put this ground underneath that. I thought that was kind of janky, super jank right there. But anyway, you can see that the cables work, they stay out of the way, has full motion forward and back like that. Same thing with this, the cable reaches all the way across without any issues. So here's another issue that I found too, and it's not an issue for most people, but this is the USB cable right here. It comes with a regular USB, but the only laptop I have is a Mac, and guess what? It only has lightning ports. So now, before I can operate this, I have to try to find an adapter to adapt USB to lightning adapter before I can get started. Other than that, that's how it should look here. This is how the machine looks. And the only leftover parts that you should have, what I found is you have the 3 tools, but they give you an extra screw of each size, 1 acorn nut, and 2 washers. So it should be 2 machine screws, 1 of the small ones, 1 of the large ones, acorn nut, 2 washers. So they give you a couple extras, but as far as the machine getting put together, it's pretty simple. You just have 4 of the longer screws, 4 of the shorter screws, and plug and play harness with some zip ties. Not too difficult. All right, let's move on to the next one. Here's a video of the laser actually operating. Now, I didn't want to get into all of the light burn application settings and all that in this video. This is just kind of setup video. But here's one of the cutting boards that I sold that was a personalized board for somebody for Christmas. And you can see it engraving here. What I thought was interesting was I wasn't sure exactly how the laser worked, but you can see the little light flashing on the machine itself. But essentially, it just turns the laser on and off really quickly while it's moving back and forth. It actually moves horizontally across the words, as you can see here. Burns it here. Now, I will say I had a fan on in this, and I wouldn't recommend doing this inside without a vent now, because it kind of smelled pretty smoky in the house. But other than that, the thing really works well, and it did great. So I didn't finish showing you how it all goes together, and that's because it wasn't necessarily complicated. I just wanted to make sure I got it in the right order. So what you have to do is you have to go on to Ortur's website to actually find the instructions on how to put it together. There's a few things that are pretty simple, and there's only really one way to plug it in, but if you go to their website, which I'll do it right here, you can kind of see all the steps laid out. It doesn't come printed, but they have them right there on their website. So the first thing we're going to do is click Supports, then Quick Start Guide, and then you select the laser that you have, which we have here, the Aufero Laser 2. Click Read Now, and then you want to go to Documentation, and then right there the assembly manual. That's what you want to click. And from there you can see what we saw before, and that is a step-by-step guide to exactly how this thing gets put together. So there are a few settings that in Lightburn, when you use this program, to manipulate the machine, because every time you turn the machine on, it's in like a fail-safe or like emergency stop. It's locked out, essentially, is what I'm saying. And so what you want to do is you want to move the laser head all the way to the front left corner before you start up anything, and then here is the startup sequence. You turn the machine on, then you plug in the USB cable, and then you start up Lightburn. At that point, the computer and the application will see the laser, and it should work. I had some trouble with this. I had to go back and forth on some emails to kind of figure this out. It wasn't as easy as you would think, but once you got the pattern down, it worked perfectly. There's also a few settings in Lightburn to keep it from when you turn the machine on that is not in the locked out mode. And I'm not sure why that's programmed in there, but I went ahead and turned it off. And now, as soon as I start it up, as long as it's in that bottom left corner, everything's good to go. when it's burning its pattern in Lightburn, and it's finished with the pattern, it will automatically go back to that bottom left from where it started. So that's why I turn the computer on, that's why I start the application with the machine like that. Hopefully that makes sense. All right guys, so that was the brief overview of this machine, and man, I tell you what, I really like it. I really enjoy this machine. There are a couple things that I have to really learn, but this is my first time using it, and since I got the machine, when I first got it, I've already sold over $500 worth of product just because I had the ability to laser engrave. So this machine right here is something that is a little inexpensive compared to the other laser engravers, but can really up your performance in your business. And I would highly recommend getting this machine here. So far, this is more of a beginner machine, but like I said, I've already made $500 just from doing this, and that's more than the cost of the laser. So 2 thumbs up from Goodview Woodworks. I would highly recommend this machine, and I'll leave a link down in the description so you can click it and go get yourself one. The holidays are coming up, and having the ability to customize a gift for somebody really ups the value of your product to other people. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, thanks for hanging out with us.